Remember Buffalo in December when rain, snow, and wind pummeled the city around Christmas? Houses became cased in ice as brutal cold and more than 70 inches of snow fell over the span of 1 week. But what started as a roar has slowed to a whimper. Since that monster storm, Buffalo has recorded just 30 inches of snow. New York City didn't see its first measurable snowfall until February 1st, and neither did Philadelphia, which has recorded just 0.3 of an inch of snow this winter. Light snowfall has meant the worst business in years for landscapers like Jonathan Pensack, who rely on snow removal to tide over the off-season months.
If it's not snowing, there's no work to do. You know, we do have employees that have families and they have to stay at home, and I got to give them loans just to help them stay afloat.
Across the East Coast, 7 states have had one of their 2 warmest winters in history, with the average temperature across the entire Northeast 5 degrees higher than normal.
Everyone kind of always makes the joke, you ski on ice out here. This time it's basically skiing on mud, and I don't think I've ever seen that.
Cesar Cornejo is a meteorologist at Scripps' station WMAR 2 News in Baltimore, which has seen a meager 0.2 of an inch of snow to date. The warmth has also affected plumbers, whose winter months are usually filled with broken pipes, hardware stores, as well as auto shops. Businesses that are all in high demand in a mountain west that has seen a record snowfall all year. In Tahoe, homes still sit under more than 10 feet of snow.
There's a lot of macro things going on, and part of that is the La Nina winter still holding on. This is the 3rd year we're going into it, and as we're slowly phasing out into an ENSO neutral, so basically no La Nina or El Nino, we're kind of stuck in that situation where the jet stream is right over top of the Appalachians, and it hasn't really shifted.
In layman's terms, it means the same pattern that has caused warmth in the east and the perilous snow in the west could likely persist.
Out of 100% of what we were anticipating, we're probably at like 10 to 15% as of right now of what has come through.
So if you're out west, the snow business may be booming, but in the east, so far it's been a bust. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Baltimore.
All right, Southwest One, it's time to get you a check of the forecast. We had an absolutely gorgeous day yesterday, and now on your Friday, we are going to continue to see warm temperatures and plenty of sunshine. You see the wind starting to come a little more out of the south today. That'll push our temperatures up around 84, and there's the cold front. Over the last 48 hours, it has slowed down, and it's going to take until Sunday for the rain to arrive. We're going to see increasing clouds late Saturday, but most of the day should be sunny, and then here comes our chance of showers and storms. We can see some of that overnight. Early on Sunday, as we're going to stay cloudy and a little chilly there to wrap up the weekend. As far as your forecast here for today on your St. Patrick's Day, gorgeous. A little breezy. The winds will gust over 20 miles per hour, but nothing to get in the way for your plans later on today. Overnight tonight, mostly clear, 66, a gorgeous start to your Saturday. And as we look ahead through the weekend, there's a change on Sunday, 72. We'll stay around 73 on Monday, and then we warm up as the sunshine returns for the middle parts of the week.
It's almost time for the big dance. March Madness is back, and the NCAA men's and women's Division I basketball tournaments are preparing to tip off once again.
I'm a believer that it's like Christmas morning.
Taking to the court first are the men, with 68 teams competing for a shot at the national title, a tournament that dates all the way back to 1939.
I think it starts with the chemistry of the event that is really difficult to replicate.
But while the chemistry of the event remains very much the same year to year, there are some elements that are shaking things up, starting with the acronym NIL.
NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And what that means is it means that college athletes can monetize their personality, their name, without losing their eligibility, which is a relatively new policy for most of the history of college athletics.
In June 2021, the NCAA adopted a policy that allows student athletes, including basketball players, to essentially make money off of their public image. Since then, players have been able to cash in via everything from merchandise to ambassador deals with companies like Buffalo Wild Wings, fireworks stores, and the Dollar Shave Club. And these deals can pay out big time. The Indianapolis Star reports that as of July 2022, there are some men's college basketball players with NIL deals confirmed to be in the high 6, even 7 figures.
I've never understood why a kid shouldn't be able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness when everyone else is making money off it.
That earning ability is having an impact on who we will see on the court during this tournament, with some players opting to stay in college longer than they would have in the past.
In the past, even though less desired, they might have just said, well, I got to get paid by somebody. Even if I'm not getting paid to play in the NBA, I'll go somewhere and make money. And now they can stay in college and make a significant amount and play in a game that still values what they do.
The NIL policy isn't the only 2021 element we're seeing the ripple effects from during this tournament.
One thing that really makes this especially transformational in college basketball is the NIL rule changes happen at the same time as liberalization of transfer rules.
The same year the NIL policy went into effect, the NCAA adjusted their transfer policy so that student athletes who transfer for the first time are eligible to compete right away at their new school without having to sit out for a season, prompting a spike in transfers throughout the NCAA.
A lot of times what you see is players transferring for the opportunity to play at the highest level. Players who are playing in mid-major or low-major leagues and are thinking, hey, I can play in the Big East, I can play in the ACC, I can play in the Big Ten, and they want that opportunity to give it a shot.
But despite the impact the NIL and transfer policy continue to have, experts say college basketball overall is heading in a good direction.
I think that college basketball is headed in a much better direction than the stewards of the game think. March is the best. It's certainly exhausting, but there's nothing about it that you can duplicate, and there's certainly nothing about it that needs to be fixed.
Meg Hilling, Scripps News, Chicago.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle London, host of Good to Know. Here we focus on all the good things happening in our communities, even underwater.
This is Larry Weatherall, Virginia grandpa who's found a pretty cool way to connect with his grandkids.
High-fiving and fist-bumping the kids is the highlight of every dive that we do.
He volunteers at the Virginia Aquarium, scrubbing the tanks underwater.
I actually started so that my grandkids could see me as a diver in the water.
It's pretty hard work.
Larry's in here almost every week, multiple times a week.
He's done more than 500 dives. And it's not just about keeping the fish happy, but the guests happy too.
The most rewarding part is the interaction with the guests. In particular, interaction with the kids.
You can even talk to Larry while he's working, like asking him about his favorite fish.
My favorite fish is a spotted eagle.
He'll even show us how it moves. Pretty good moves for Grandpa.
What a special day at the aquarium for his grandkids. You are a grandpa who's good to know.
Live from Fox 4, this is breaking news.
And we begin tonight with Fox 4 News at 5 with breaking news out of Collier County. We have just learned the Collier County Sheriff's Office is now calling a death investigation. We've been covering for about the last 24 hours a homicide. Details are limited, but the Collier County Sheriff's Office says someone was found dead just before 11 last night on 8th Avenue Southeast.
Yeah, a police report says deputies learned a woman was unconscious and not breathing. No one has been arrested yet, but we are working to learn more details, and we do have a crew on the way to the scene. This while we're also following up on yesterday's Fort Myers homicide investigation, as new video has now been released following the arrest of a 22-year-old man. Lee County Sheriff's Office say that man shot his own family member outside a Restaurant Depot grocery store yesterday.
That's right, in Estero. That video taken in the parking lot shows the moment leading up to the shooting. So take a look. In this video, you can see the person who was shot right near this white car on your screen. Now, Fox 4 is not showing the rest of the video due to its graphic nature, which shows what deputies say is the suspect, Juan Carlos Rosado, shooting his own family member. That person's then seen falling into the store's parking lot.
Yeah, deputies say within minutes they responded to this scene and arrested Rosado. This video is hard to watch, but he is now currently in custody at the Lee County Jail, charged with second-degree murder.
And breaking right now in Cape Coral, police tell us they are on the scene of a crash. This is at the intersection of Northeast 25th Avenue and Pondella Road. They tell us it happened just before 4:30, and you can see on our traffic sensors the impact of this crash. They tell us all lanes are impacted right now, so if you can avoid this area, which is in the North Fort Myers, Cape Coral, close to Cape Coral area, you definitely want to look for an alternate route. Of course, a lot of people out on the roadways this St. Patrick's Day evening.
Yeah, also traffic is backed up this evening on Alligator Alley as well. This near mile marker 85 after a multi-car crash. This, you could see, has blocked all lanes and stopped traffic again on Alligator Alley. This is a look at when this accident happened around 1 o'clock. Now we are told that the right lane is closed on the southbound side, but it looks like right now traffic is moving, but you can imagine it's going to take a long time. Maybe if you're headed over to the Miami area. Florida Highway Patrol says that this crash involved a semi-tractor trailer, a sedan, a pickup truck, and possibly even another car here. At one point, all lanes, as you can see, were closed. We do know at least one person is hurt, but Fox 4 will continue to follow through on an update for you.
We're also following through on this story for you in Collier County. We know one person is dead, another person is in the hospital after an early morning crash. The Florida Highway Patrol tells us it happened around midnight on Everglades Boulevard North. We're told the car crashed into a tree, a mailbox, and a trash can. The passenger did die on scene, and the driver was taken to Gulf Coast Medical with critical injuries.
It's been a busy Friday afternoon. New at 5, we're also learning that the Fort Myers Beach fire chief has resigned from his position effective today. The district making that announcement just a few hours ago. Chief Ronald Martin says that he is resigning over personal reasons. District Chief Scott Worth will now be serving as acting fire chief. We have reached out to town leaders on any more statements or information as to why.
Well, happy Friday to you, and of course, happy St. Patrick's Day here at Fox 4. We are celebrating. I got my green earrings on. You got that
she was
green
gonna
dress
get
going on. Yeah, especially from her. The St. Patrick's Day downtown block party kicked off a few hours ago in Fort Myers.
And this is all to give you something to do tonight. Maybe if you're sitting at home. I mean, we're grateful that you're watching Fox 4 News at 5. But as you can see, certified meteorologist Katie Walls is out there live from this celebration, getting a check of the weather as well. Hey, Katie, you look beautiful out there.
It is picture perfect, my friends. The dew points are absolutely great. So if you are coming down here, especially in the shade, it feels nice with just that light breeze blowing right now. But let me tell you, this is a party, my friends. We're actually in the quieter area of the party just because it's a little too chaotic. When you head down First Street all the way down to Sidney Byrne, it is happening. There are live bands up and down multiple streets. Right here, I'm standing at Broadway and Main. That's where the streets are closed. And the police did let me know that they will keep these streets barricaded until midnight tonight to ensure everybody is nice and safe. But you can see right now we have Celtic Stew. They're on break, but don't worry, we're going to have them live for you coming up here in the next 15 minutes. But you know, folks are lining up having a great time. And of course, again, 4th Street is just happening, extending across the entire River District. So for those of you heading out this evening, I want to show you that evening outlook. Weather looking great. Whether you're coming here to downtown Fort Myers or maybe you're venturing wherever you are, clear skies expected, temperatures gradually dropping into the 70s, then 60s overnight. And while conditions are fantastic for now, unfortunately, we do have some wet weather coming in for tomorrow. So coming up, we'll dive deeper into that timeline for when some of those showers could impact your weekend plans.
You're definitely going to want to soak up that beautiful weather today because things will be changing. We'll see Katie in just a little bit. Well, as the city of Cape Coral now approaches its final 2 weeks of debris removal within their canals, one city council member wants to put a pause on a certain project that's gotten a lot of response from citizens.
Definitely. Fox 4 first told you about this when some people living along the canals claimed city contractors destroyed some of the vegetation along those waterways. Fox 4's Colton Chavez has been following the story since the process started back in November. He is live tonight. And Colton, some of the concern you're hearing actually has to do with erosion.
Yeah, that's right, and it's erosion is exactly what we're seeing right here. This is the concern from those residents, also from council member Tom Hayden. He said views like this is the reason why he asked City Council to put a 1-month pause and start talking about restoration efforts to keep erosion from areas like this from happening. Now, unfortunately, new tonight we learned that the city did not go along with that 1-month pause. Now, Hayden says members felt that way since the Canal debris cleanup is actually slated to end in just 2 weeks. You heard Shari and Nadine talking about that. Now, this conversation, it took place during a city council meeting earlier this week where Hayden tells me it was actually sparked by members from the Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife. Now, that's a group who says that too much vegetation was removed from banks like these and will actually cause rainy season erosion. Now, I spoke with Hayden earlier today, and he says he's concerned about the city staff's lack of restoration plan.
The thing that concerned me as staff spoke, that we didn't really have a plan in place on how we might restore the banks and places where we remove trees and other shrubbery.
But moving forward, Hayden says he feels confident that city staff will come back with details on a restoration plan. But waiting for a plan to come into place is not something people who live on this canal tell me they're really okay with. So coming up on Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock, you're going to hear from them in what they want to see happen as this project enters its final 2 weeks. But for now, live in Cape Coral, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
And thank you so much. And from Cape Coral to Fort Myers, where Governor Ron DeSantis joined us today, providing some hurricane relief updates as next week, believe it or not, actually marks 6 months after Hurricane Ian. So the governor, alongside the Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie, some local leaders and hurricane survivors announced today that through the Florida Disaster Relief Fund, which has now raised, by the way, more than $64 million since the storm, there will be new money dedicated to local businesses still needing help rebuilding. So that includes $3 million from the nonprofit arm of the Restaurant and Lodging Association that will help those businesses in hospitality, and another $4 million for small businesses that are not in hospitality, all allowed to now apply for grants of up to $50,000.
Up to $50,000 grants to support their employees and help to reopen while they await their insurance payments or federal reimbursement for things like equipment, drywall, and commodities. And so these investments will help local businesses as well as the local economy get back on track.
So that was just a couple updates, but several announcements came out of the governor's visit today, including the fact that as of just 36 hours ago, all of the shrimp boats are now back in the water, and permanent repairs to both Pine Island and Sanibel Bridge continue, and they're expected to be done by the end of the year. Fox 4 is going to have more on this for you tonight on Fox 4 News at 6 and at 10.
And in Cape Coral, a man has now been arrested after police say he tried to use his boat to get away. Police say they actually got a call yesterday about a man who was drunk that they now identified as Kurt Snowden, disturbing the peace while driving his boat through the canals in Cape Coral. When police arrived, they say he then took off on the boat, and they found him trying to dock his boat near his home. He's now facing multiple charges, including boating under the influence. This comes as officials all week have been touting boating safety after we've seen a crash on our waterways just this past weekend.
Former President Donald Trump can post videos to YouTube again. The newsfeed starts with YouTube lifting his restrictions today. The company suspended his account following the Capitol attack on January 6th. Well, fans of the band The Cure who bought tickets to upcoming shows are getting refunds and lower fees from Ticketmaster. This comes after the band's co-founder shared his frustration over Ticketmaster's high fees. The company agreed to offer a $5 to $10 refund per ticket for verified fan accounts. Microsoft is bringing ChatGPT to its Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. The company says you'll soon be able to use what the company is calling an AI co-pilot. It will help edit, summarize, create, and compare documents, and even transcribe meeting notes during Skype calls. All right, still to come today.
There was a lot of cheering and maybe even relief around hearing your pastor from the pulpit talk about the things that you perhaps deal with or they perhaps deal with on a daily basis.
The other ways that mental health help is growing at churches.
But right now, we want to show you some of the other ways people are celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Festivities actually started in Punta Gorda pretty early this morning. Fox 4 was there at the Celtic Rave for the beginning of this day. This is actually their 27th year celebrating the holiday. Last year, there were more than 8,000 patrons at this celebration. We spoke with bar owner Kevin Doyle, who says Ireland usually has everything closed on St. Patrick's Day, but he realized that it was a big celebration here in the U.S. when he opened this bar back in 1997. The pub opened around 9 this morning, and it's going to be open until 1 a.m., so you got some time to get out there.
Wow, some folks did start early, so you might be starting a little later, but here is a great option for you. So if you plan on going out today and might realize you drank one too many Guinnesses, AAA is offering to take your car home for free. The auto company's tow-to-go service is happening now through 6 a.m. on Monday. The service will tow your car to any location within 10 miles. You can request a tow, and you can actually just call that number on your screen, 855-286-9246. Go ahead, take a picture of that, and please be safe this weekend. And if you are looking for family fun this weekend, the Collier County Fair is happening right now at the Collier Fairgrounds. Tonight is actually open until midnight. It'll be open tomorrow from 1 to 1 and Sunday from 1 to 10. Tickets are $10 for anyone 12 and up. Kids 4 to 11 are only $5, and little ones 3 and under are free. The fair runs through March 26th.
Well, we still have much more for you here on Fox 4 News at 5.
It is a busy Friday, so as new numbers now show that hate crimes are rising nationwide, here at home, police are actually still searching for a suspect in this hate crime at a local Jewish center in Cape Coral. We're going to have the latest on this investigation as we continue our State of Hate coverage. All right, it is 5:15 on a Friday. That happens to be St. Patrick's Day. We are so happy you are here with us, but there's a lot going on around town.
And we are working to bring it to you as much as possible.
Yeah.
We were in Charlotte County earlier today, and this evening we are in Lee County at something that's become one of my favorite celebrations. It's the St. Patrick's Day celebration in downtown Fort Myers. We're here, but Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls gets to have all of the fun this evening. Katie, you look great. How's it going out there?
Oh my gosh, it could not be better. The weather right now is just picture perfect, and our friends, this amazing band called Celtic Stew, is just getting started. They're coming back from break right now, so you're gonna hear them playing along as I deliver my weather forecast. So what better kind of background than this, right? But this is just one of several bands that are out here in downtown Fort Myers here in the River District. It's gonna be a party, friends, all evening long. Roads will stay blocked until midnight, I'm told, by police officers. All right, let's start now with our forecast. We're going to start with a live look not far away from the Luminary Hotel. So as we look live out there, overall really picture perfect, especially with those temperatures continuing to stay in the 80s right now, some lower 80s currently across Southwest Florida. Overall though, my computer, I'll be honest, it is just having too much fun. It's already on Irish time. It's celebrating St. Patrick's Day right now. So if you notice it kind of being slow, that's what's going on. So we're at 83 right now in Fort Myers, and you see all of that wet weather currently rolling through the southeastern part of the country. That is what is heading our direction. So friends, that wet weather will be affecting us as we look ahead to your Saturday night and into Sunday. But for now, overall things very quiet for those of you heading out. As you can see behind me, it's great for outdoor plans, and especially with this lower humidity that we are enjoying for now. But as we try to fast forward ahead, looking ahead to tomorrow, basically we are expecting partly cloudy skies to be thickening up, especially throughout the afternoon, so heads up there. Otherwise, as we look ahead to, as we look ahead, if it's just not going to work, it's all right, my computer is out to lunch. But what we can expect as we do head into tomorrow, clouds will be increasing, but it's not until late tomorrow night that I am expecting the potential for those showers to begin to move in. So here we go. So for tomorrow, late afternoon and evening storms, and really, honestly, I think most will be well after sunset, heading into your Sunday. So as of right now, late tomorrow night into Sunday, that's going to be our wettest time frame. Those high temperatures for tomorrow running in the mid 80s. So overall, it's going to be another very warm afternoon, kind of similar to what we are enjoying right now. But as we look a little closer at those forecast temperatures for tomorrow, a little hotter temperatures expected farther inland, some lower 90s from Immokalee to LaBelle, even to Palmdale, otherwise mid 80s expected along the coastline from Fort Myers to Naples. And then looking ahead to that 7-day forecast, that's where you're really going to start to see that potential for that wet weather. Looking ahead to your Saturday night into Sunday, thunder showers are expected. Also Sunday is going to be a whole lot cooler, looking for highs only around 70 degrees. And then for your Monday, the start of spring, a couple of those showers will be lingering. Also your Monday staying on the cooler side as well. And then by Tuesday, we dry things out and those temperatures head right back to the 80s. I'm live here in downtown Fort Myers. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls, back to you.
President Biden wants tougher penalties for the executives of failed banks following the failures of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Today, he's calling on Congress to let regulators take back compensation at a broader range of banks if they fail, and to lower the threshold for regulators to fine and ban the executives from working at another bank. This comes as the parent company of Silicon Valley Bank today filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Much of the company is now under the control of U.S. banking regulators after Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. Bankruptcy filings like this are something we also saw with other banks during the 2008 financial crisis. We all know how out of control scam texts have gotten. New rules from the FCC should block more of them. The rules say phone companies have to block robotext messages from phone numbers that are unused or invalid. The agency is also proposing to close a loophole that allows multiple marketers to take advantage of a single consent from you to receive text messages.
Each year, thousands of data breaches expose customers' information, and we're talking victims in the hundreds of millions. Oftentimes, those involved don't learn about it till months later. Take a recent breach reported by cell phone carrier T-Mobile. In a regulatory filing, T-Mobile believes an attacker first retrieved data on or around November 25th of last year. The company notified regulators about the breach on January 5th, 2023. So why the delay? Pete Nicoletti with the company Checkpoint says delays aren't necessarily on purpose. He says a hacker can be inside a company's network for months before anyone knows about it.
The fact is that hackers are typically in a system for 90 to 120 days before the companies have evidence that they've been in there.
Pete says it's always beneficial for a company to report a breach to the public as soon as they know it.
You don't want to have customers ticked off at you for not protecting your information, right?
Earlier this year, the Federal Communications Commission began the process to update and strengthen its data breach rules. If adopted, the rules will require carriers to notify the Commission, Secret Service, and the FBI as soon as possible. It will also eliminate a mandatory waiting period before notifying customers. In the event of a breach, make sure you immediately change your password and be cautious of any phishing emails or texts that may follow so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
Millions of Americans living with lymphedema will soon get help paying for a tool that keeps the disease in check. The change is coming after recent action by Congress. China's president says today he plans to visit Russia next week. Now, this could be seen as China supporting Moscow amid the war in Ukraine. But up until this point, the country has claimed to be neutral. It comes at the same time the International Criminal Court has issued a warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin's arrest. In a statement, the ICC says Putin is allegedly responsible for war crimes that unlawfully deported Ukrainian children to Russia. Slovakia says today that it will send Ukraine its fleet of 13 MiG-29 fighter jets. They're now the second NATO country to do this. Poland announced yesterday that it's sending 4 of the jets to Ukraine. Congress recently passed a measure that could be life-changing for millions of Americans with lymphedema. Starting in 2024, Medicare will cover the compression garments used to keep the disease in check. Out of pocket, those can cost up to $1,000. Here's why this new law matters. Without those compression garments, the swelling that lymphedema causes in the arms and legs can impact quality of life and put people out of work.
The reason I'm on Social Security disability and Medicare beneficiary is due to lymphedema in my legs, and yet Medicare didn't cover the items that I needed to maintain my health, and it was causing additional complications and additional costs to Medicare from those complications.
Lymphedema is a condition you can be born with or be brought on by another disease. The National Institutes of Health estimates that 1 in 5 women who survive breast cancer will develop lymphedema. Even with employer-based insurance, some people have trouble getting coverage for the compression garments. Advocates hope the change for Medicare also helps those in that position.
Because most plans usually look to Medicare to set like the standards for their coverage. So we're hoping that all patients across the board are going to see improvements with their coverage.
Her advocacy group has been pushing for the Lymphedema Treatment Act since 2010. Patients who are part of that group hope this will inspire others working to get coverage on other health conditions.
Knowing that your voices were heard will encourage people to take on other aspects of their health care and speak up and be their own advocates to get the care they need.
You can find more information on the new legislation at lymphedema-treatment-act.org. Pfizer is recalling more than 4 million packages of its prescription migraine medication, Nurtec ODT. It's over a risk of children getting into it and being poisoned. The company did not meet child-resistant packaging requirements. Anyone affected will be able to get a free child-resistant pouch to keep the medication in. No poisonings have been reported so far.
And coming up here on Fox 4 News at 5.
We're talking about a plan for universal school vouchers that makes some significant progress in the State House today, and with support from both sides of the aisle. We've got the latest from Tallahassee.
Almost 1 week since an attack on a local Jewish center, and the suspect is still on the run tonight. Fox 4 is now following through for you tonight, bringing you the latest on this investigation.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 5.
And Cape Coral police continue to search for that man they say attacked the Jewish Chabad Center last weekend. And they call this a hate crime. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Nadine Yanis.
And I'm Shari Armstrong. The attack comes as hate crimes nationwide are increasing. Fox 4 Investigates Ryan Kruger joins us live with the latest on this investigation. Ryan?
Police say the man who threw the brick at the glass building while worshipers were still inside, he was last seen driving off Cape Coral Parkway. Meanwhile, the FBI tells us tonight these kinds of crimes, unfortunately, are on the rise. This week, the FBI released their latest statistics, which show a double-digit rise in hate crimes in the U.S. 1 in 6 hate crimes is motivated by religion. Cape Coral police say their hate crime investigation remains the same as when they updated on Tuesday. A suspect still not in custody.
Stand against any type of hate crime in our community.
Say the suspect was driving a vehicle just like the one you're seeing here. They're calling it a ginger rail metallic color Ford Edge. The suspect has been described as being a white male in his 50s, around 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and balding. This attack, unfortunately, part of a growing trend of violence towards America's Jewish population. Coming up tonight at 6, how the rise in anti-Semitism is making some people change their daily behavior. Ryan Kruger, Fox 4 Investigates.
Thank you so much. After hours of debate, Florida Republicans pushed through their plan to offer taxpayer-funded school vouchers to every Florida student who wants them. Democrats say the vouchers are damaging to public education and the budget. Our Scripps Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders has more.
Clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 27 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes.
HB 1 opens up vouchers for private schools to all Florida students, not just low-income families. They will still have priority, but under the bill, anyone could apply, even homeschoolers who can get money for ed supplies or tutors. Republicans have said they're doing away with the current, quote, one-size-fits-all model for education to allow families to craft the best plan for their kids.
Education is a miracle. It is something that we are obligated to provide to every child, however their parents think it is best. We have a choice. Do we trust the government, or do we trust the parents?
Many Democrats have big concerns. They worry the price tag is too high. State analysis puts new costs between $210 to $220 million, but third-party nonprofits say billions. Also, that public schools will miss out on the dollars. The House Minority Leader warned Florida could end up like Arizona, where many of the vouchers went to families already paying for private school.
The majority of the families applying came from the wealthiest zip codes, and the overwhelming majority were not in public schools before the vouchers. This is a handout to wealthy parents, not a handout to kids who need it.
The bill will now need the backing of the state Senate to reach the governor. The upper chamber's vote is expected in the coming weeks.
Keep you updated on bills right now. The so-called anti-woke law will stay blocked after a federal appeals court ruling. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Individual Freedom Act into law last April, and it prevents teachings or mandatory activities at schools and workplaces that suggest a person is privileged or oppressed based on their race, color, sex, or national origin. Now, the act faces a number of legal challenges based on how it impacts students in K through 12, higher education, and workplaces. A U.S. district judge blocked the law as the legal battle plays out, and yesterday a federal appeals court upheld that injunction.
And another controversial bill making progress in the state house is House Bill 7. This would drastically cut abortion access. So the bill made it through its first 2 committees this week, despite strong opposition from abortion advocates. Fox 4 has been following this bill all week for you. The vice president also condemned the bill this week. Now, the bill does have exceptions for rape and incest, but medical professionals do argue that 6 weeks is before many even know that they're pregnant. So next week, the Senate version of this abortion bill will have its first committee hearing as well.
And Nadine, we're also following a similar issue in Texas. A judge there says he'll soon decide whether to issue preliminary injunction ordering the FDA to withdraw its approval of the abortion pill. It's part of a 2-pill regimen responsible for over half of abortions in the United States. The FDA approved the pill more than 20 years ago, but a coalition of pro-life groups are suing, asking them to rescind that approval. Fox 4 will bring you the judge's decision so you can stay up to date online, in our app, and of course on air.
Well, turning now to weather, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or also known as NOAA, released its spring outlook. And it says that the abnormally wet winter out west actually cut California's extreme drought. But this spring, as storms combined with the melting snowpack, it could bring major flooding to California. The risk for flooding is also high along the Mississippi River from Minneapolis to St. Louis. Now, forecasters say extreme drought will remain in New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. But as we've been talking about so much, Florida's drought will also likely end, thankfully, in the next few months, because that's when, as we know, wet season returns. They also expect a higher than normal temperature for the south and eastern U.S.
And speaking of spring, even though some days here feels like summer, we are actually just a few days away from the official start of the season. And today we are experiencing some beautiful spring-like weather, which is perfect, of course, for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, the St. Patrick's Day downtown block party actually kicked off a few hours ago in downtown Fort Myers. And that's where certified meteorologist Katie Walls is giving you a firsthand look at the weather from the celebration tonight. And Katie, we were just talking about how the wet season is upon us, that we've had higher than normal temperatures. But today, wow, we're really catching a break.
Yes. So we're in the dry season right now. We have another couple of months of the dry season, but we will have the chance for that rainfall to come in tomorrow night into Sunday. But for this evening, friends, if you want to come out and enjoy some amazing, fun festivities here in downtown Fort Myers in the River District, it is happening behind me. We have Celtic Stew currently playing. You can see the people right here dancing a little bit. Now, I will tell you this, down on First Street, it's a whole different party. It is a lot louder. That's one reason we chose this particular area, because it's a little more subdued, but you know, we are having a great time here. We have so many restaurants right now participating as well. Restaurants themselves also, they have their own bands inside as well. So through the evening, be sure to come out and enjoy, but just a heads up, a lot of downtown blocked off through midnight because of this different traffic flow to make sure everybody is good and safe. Speaking of your evening forecast, let's take a closer look at what you can expect for those of you heading out this evening. Mostly clear skies are forecast. Will be dropping through the 70s into the 60s, but overall looking fantastic for any outdoor plans you might have. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, meteorologist Andrew Shipley will bring you the latest on that storm system that could impact some weekend plans.
Today, the EPA is ordering states to stop blocking shipments of hazardous waste from the East Palestine train derailment. As crews work to clean up, the material is being sent to waste storage sites around the country. But many state leaders say they don't want any part of it near their home. The EPA says this is a routine cleanup measure, and hazardous storage sites are trained to handle material safely. The EPA estimates it will take 3 months to clean up the site of the derailment. Ex-Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin pleaded guilty to tax evasion today. Chauvin is currently serving time for the murder of George Floyd. Today, he admitted to hiding tens of thousands of dollars from the state of Minnesota. His ex-wife also pleaded guilty to tax evasion charges last month. The two are accused of failing to pay taxes on more than $464,000 from 2014 to 2019. Ford is recalling more than 1.5 million cars over leaky brake hoses and faulty windshield wipers. The brake recall impacts the most drivers. It includes 2013 through 2018 Ford Fusions and Lincoln MKX cars. Ford says when brake hoses leak, it can mean drivers aren't able to stop quickly. The windshield wiper recall includes 2021 F-150 pickup trucks. Ford says the arm of the wipers can break off. Alternative meat substitutes have been growing in popularity. Now, our pets' food could be next. Clayton Sandell takes us into the lab to show us how they're making meat without meat.
Look at any pet food label in the supermarket or commercials going back decades.
Mighty Dog, pure beef, no byproducts.
The message, real meat equals better. Our pets eat a lot of meat. A UCLA study found that if the 163 million dogs and cats in the U.S. were a country, they'd be the 5th largest meat eaters on Earth. And processing all that meat releases 64 million tons of global warming carbon dioxide every year. Numbers like that got Rich Kellerman thinking about the impact of meat-eating pets on the environment. At the time, he was working in advertising for Burger King.
There are challenges of making meat and producing meat when it comes to land, water, energy use, when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, when it comes to farm animal welfare, when it comes to pathogen risk.
The more he learned, the less he liked.
Ultimately, became a vegan working at Burger King, which made for some interesting client conversations.
That's when Bond Pet Foods was born. The idea to come up with an environmentally friendly meat equivalent without slaughtering chickens, cows, and fish.
So this is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens.
At this lab in Fort Collins, Colorado, Bond is using a process called precision fermentation. It started with a free-range chicken.
We literally went to a heritage chicken farm outside of Topeka, Kansas, and we found a chicken named Inga. And we got a little bit of sample of her blood.
Inga is still alive, and in these machines, protein extracted from her DNA is combined with yeast. New chicken protein is literally brewed, kind of like making beer.
We're going to take the yeast here, we're going to get rid of all that liquid on top. Yep. We're going to dry it down.
The result is ground into a chicken protein powder.
So you can take just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
That Kellerman says will one day be the main ingredient in pet food.
Let's do it.
We put the powder to a taste test.
It definitely tastes like a dried chicken almost. You can make out that chicken flavor.
Once Bond's protein gets the necessary approvals, including from the FDA, Kellerman says the next step will be convincing pet owners to buy it.
It is essentially brewing meat, and there's a craft to that. Yeah. And I think us celebrating that and articulating that would be attractive to a certain type of person.
There is growing evidence that consumers, investors, and pet food companies are hot on meat alternatives. One report predicts the plant-based pet food market will grow from $26 billion a year today to $57 billion by 2032. And pets, Kellerman says, won't know the difference.
A dog's just hungry.
A dog's just hungry, and if it tastes good to their palate, they'll eat it. So it doesn't have to have the structure of meat.
Kellerman believes pet food made with his engineered protein will cost about the same as the traditional stuff. And while Fido may love meatless dog food, the company hopes pet parents will also have an appetite for helping the environment. Clayton Sandell, Scripps News, Fort Collins, Colorado.
Here's the thing about living in Southwest Florida during St. Patrick's Day. You could be in downtown Fort Myers celebrating, or you could be out on the water like these people. This is a live look from our bayfront in camera where you can see it as a gorgeous St. Patrick's Day afternoon.
And today is the day that you're going to want to soak up this gorgeous weather, because as we bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, things will be changing as we get closer into the weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why you want to enjoy nights like tonight when we have those clear skies for us, beautiful conditions. Temperatures going to be slow to cool here tonight. Most of us can be seeing those 70s through the evening hours. I think ultimately getting down about 65 degrees. Mostly clear skies in the forecast. Winds out of the south at 13. And we are expecting those winds to stay with us tomorrow out of the southwest, 10 to 15 miles an hour. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But it is expected to be another warm day. 86 degrees in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, 85 down in Naples, Punta Gorda. You get inland, we're talking lower 90s. LaBelle, Clewiston, Moorhaven, all at 91 degrees. The other thing we'll be watching for you is building clouds. You're seeing more of the sunshine there in the morning. You get into the afternoon, evening hours, more of those clouds going to be building in. And that's going to be as that front that's going to change everything as we get in towards your Sunday, bringing in the rain chances, builds in later on in the day. Also expecting, again, the winds to be picking up in the morning hours, gusts about 15, 16, something like that. And then you get into the afternoon, gusts right around 20, 25 miles an hour. So we'll get breezy as you get in towards the afternoon. And then all eyes start to shift as we get in towards the evening hours Saturday into Sunday morning as the rain chances start to build in. And we are expecting not heavy, steady downpours and whatnot, but it's going to be these showers that we're going to be seeing on and off through the day here into the evening hours and then even into the overnight, Sunday into Monday morning. And then I do expect as we roll into the rest of the day, Monday, things will start to clear out and we'll start to dry things out. But bringing in much needed rain to the forecast. This is one of our models here showing rainfall through Sunday evening. Some spots picking up anywhere from a quarter to a half inch. So again, not heavy rain, but when you add in the rain overnight Sunday into Monday, some of us could get close to that 1 inch mark, which is again great news because we do need the rain. So let me walk you through the rain chances this week. We're looking at it just a 10% chance during the day there Saturday. It picks up really Saturday night into Sunday. Sunday though, 70% chance of rain. Just kind of be one of those just wet, dreary kind of days. Cool day as well with those high temperatures only expected to be in the upper 60s and low 70s. Very similar story temperature-wise Monday, but the rain chance is going to be really focused there in the morning hours. And then you'll notice Tuesday, Wednesday, drying right back out. And that's when we do expect the return of the sunshine as return of those warmer temperatures. Let me walk you through it here in the 7-day forecast. Again, showers starting late in the night on Saturday into Sunday. First day of spring, bringing in those spring showers, maybe turning into May flowers over the next couple months here. But we are looking at, again, warmer temperatures. Check out the end of next week. We're looking at upper 80s expected on Thursday and Friday. Wouldn't be surprised if some of us here, even here along the coastline, say Fort Myers, approach that 90-degree mark by the end of the week.
10 people have been charged in the death of a 28-year-old black man while he was being admitted to a mental health facility in Virginia last week. 7 are county sheriff's deputies and 3 are employees of the hospital. They've all been charged with second-degree murder. Video from the hospital shows Ivo Ochieno handcuffed and shackled while being pinned to the ground. Prosecutors say he was then smothered, which caused his death. Ochieno's family is calling for the Justice Department to step in on the case. The mental health support that churches are providing is growing. Amber Strong shows us how that's coming both through counseling and some pastors' own transparency.
The First Corinthian Baptist Church has stood at this corner in Harlem for more than half a century, priding themselves on meeting the needs of the community. Nearly a decade ago, senior pastor Michael A. Walrun noticed one need going unmet: mental illness. So he began addressing his own mental health battles over the pulpit.
There are, again, those moments that are ignited by grief and trauma and sorrow and disappointment and lead to depression. Grief is draining.
I think there was a lot of cheering and maybe even relief around hearing your pastor from the pulpit talk about the things that you perhaps deal with or they perhaps deal with on a daily basis.
As more and more members expressed their mental health needs, the church brought on a clinician, but leadership quickly learned they need something more.
He was standing at the front of the church and someone came in and whispered that they were here to see the therapist. And it was at that moment that he thought, you know what, perhaps we need a standalone facility.
Using donations from the church and philanthropists, they built the Hope Center, a separate mental health facility offering free services with licensed therapists. Dr. Lena Green is the executive director.
People come in, they get greeted. We have sort of like some snacks and coffee and tea in the back.
If you walk out of the doors to the Hope Center, down the block, turn right, you've reached the church. Staff members say that close proximity is no coincidence.
All of the staff members have been trained in what we call mental health first aid, so that they are aware of when someone comes in and they're in need of services, that they know where to send them and how to sort of make a warm handoff.
God bless you. Dr. Green says they're providing an open door to a community that historically has not had access to mental health care.
And when we think about communities of color or even low-income communities around the country, oftentimes those resources are limited, right? And so there are very few places that you can actually go and find free mental health services. They're pretty much non-existent.
She also says the program is uniquely positioned to serve people who feel like they shouldn't seek help.
One of the things that I think we do well here is to really give permission and normalize the fact that daily struggles come about. One of the mottos that I like to share with folks is called prayer and therapy, that we can pray about it, but we can also be actionable about our health. And that means going to counseling.
While the barriers to receiving treatment in underserved communities remains, research shows stigma among people of faith may be starting to lessen. According to a recent survey from Lifeway Research, 60% of Protestant pastors say they speak on chronic mental illness at least once a year, an increase in recent years. 9 in 10 say local churches have a responsibility to provide resources and support for individuals with mental illness. Sometimes that support comes through programs such as Celebrate Recovery or other types of counseling, and other times it comes from the pastor's own transparency, with 26% saying they have struggled with mental illness themselves.
But all you can do is whisper, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. And nobody understands that you're a step away from losing it all.
I think those kinds of conversations, especially from faith leaders, right, where we know that there's a lot of power there, really was just the catalyst for, oh my gosh, if he can talk about his story, I can talk about mine too.
Amber Strong, Scripps News, New York.
Elizabeth, thank you for that report. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'm Michelle London. Fox 4 News at 6 is next.
Tonight, disturbing security footage of the moments someone was shot and killed outside the restaurant depot in San Carlos Park. How Lee County deputies say the accused gunman knew this victim. Plus, tomorrow marks 1 week since the attack on Cape Coral's Jewish Center, and still, the suspect has not been caught.
Because it's not just a Jewish problem, it's an American problem.
Fox 4 investigates the state of hate in Florida compared to the rest of our nation. And more hurricane relief is coming to Southwest Florida. The governor in town today. How much more funding he announced that could help you recover.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
We begin this hour with breaking news out of Collier County. The sheriff's office telling Fox 4 they are now investigating a homicide in a home on 8th Avenue Southeast. This is in Golden Gate Estates. Detectives say that they arrived at this home just before 11 o'clock last night after a family member reported that a woman was inside, but she was not conscious or breathing. They do say this is an isolated incident, and as of right now, there's no danger to the community, but we know no arrests have been made at this point. So we do have a crew headed to the scene, and we will bring you the absolute latest first right here on Fox 4 News and on our mobile app, and again tonight at 10.
But tonight, the Lee County Sheriff's Office say they have a man in custody who they say is responsible for shooting and killing his family member right outside of the restaurant depot in San Carlos Park. Thanks for trusting us here on Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Shari Armstrong.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. A busy Friday here. So back to that murder. The Sheriff's Office also releasing chilling security video of that shooting yesterday. We do want to warn you, it could be disturbing to watch as we take you through this. So here in this video, you can see that victim coming out of the restaurant depot with a shopping cart. You see he approaches the back of his car to put items in his trunk. Now, Fox 4 is not showing the rest of the video after this due to its graphic nature, which shows what LCSO says is the gunman, now identified as 22-year-old Juan Carlos Rosado, shooting a family member, that man he was related to, and that man could then be seen falling to the ground. Again, that video we're not showing to you, but Lee County Sheriff's deputies say they quickly responded to that area.
Yeah, and deputies say when they got there, Rosado was still standing nearby. They took him into custody on second-degree murder charges, and he remains in the Lee County Jail tonight. Deputies say this was an isolated incident and not related to the restaurant depot. They want to be very clear about that. Well, some great news for those of you heading to the Miami area or South Florida area for St. Patrick's Day weekend. Traffic is flowing again after a crash in Collier County on I-75. We're showing you video from earlier today. The Florida Highway Patrol says a semi-truck, a sedan, a pickup truck, and possibly another car were all involved in a crash at mile marker 85, tying up traffic for a few hours this afternoon. You can see all of the southbound lanes were blocked off as a result, but we just checked and we can tell you now that if you're heading in that direction, really both directions, traffic is looking a lot better and the scene is clear. Well, tomorrow marks 1 week since Cape Coral police say a man violently attacked the Chabad Jewish Center in Cape Coral in what police are calling a hate crime.
Yeah, witnesses say that man threw bricks at the glass door while worshipers were still inside, even broke the window of this car right here in the parking lot. Now, despite a $5,000 reward, police still do not have a suspect in custody. Only a very vague description tonight.
So tonight, Fox 4 Investigates is showing you how this crime is part of a growing trend of violence towards America's Jewish population.
Something we've been covering for months. Investigative reporter Ryan Kruger has actually been on the front lines covering the rise of anti-Semitism and the state of hate right here in Florida. And Ryan, you have new numbers showing the toll that this is now taking on this community.
Yeah, the FBI is out with brand new statistics showing that hate crimes jumped double digits in the year 2021. Right now, they are still looking at the year 2022. And that increase has more and more American Jews changing their behavior, they say, out of fear.
As worshipers were inside the Chabad Jewish Center on Cape Coral Parkway last weekend, Cape police say a man in the parking lot was intent on destruction. Investigators believe the suspect was motivated by hate.
And that is just horrific because it's not just a Jewish problem, it's an American problem.
Brian Lipton is the regional director of the American Jewish Committee of West Florida, based in Sarasota. He says attacks like these are why so many American Jews admit to changing their behavior.
They're either not going to Jewish events, they're not going to synagogue, they're not wearing a Jewish star or a head covering, out of fear.
In its State of Anti-Semitism in America report, the American Jewish Committee found nearly 40% of American Jews have changed their behavior due to the rise in anti-Semitism. This week, the FBI released updated numbers showing hate crimes jumped by 12% in 2021. Cape Coral police call it part of a national trend.
It happened here, and we need to acknowledge that.
I think it's getting the right attention, and we believe there was a hate crime.
Police say they will be more visible at the Chabad Center, but with no suspect in custody, the Jewish community remains on edge.
We cannot let this be in the United States, because any hatred goes against every American value we have.
And Cape Coral police say the suspect was driving a vehicle just like this one. They're calling that color ginger rail metallic. It's a Ford Edge. The suspect is described as being a white male in his 50s, around 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds, and they say he was likely balding. The local Jewish community is offering a $5,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. Ryan Kruger, Fox 4 Investigates.
One person has died following an overnight crash in Collier County. That is according to the Florida Highway Patrol. They tell us a 27-year-old man was driving on Everglades Boulevard North by 18th Avenue Northeast just past midnight. That's when they tell us he veered off the road and hit a mailbox, a trash can, and a tree. The driver was critically hurt and taken to the hospital. His passenger was a 28-year-old man and died in that crash. FHP is still investigating just what happened here. And new this hour, we have just learned that Fort Myers Beach Fire Chief Ronald Martin has resigned. He sent a letter to the Board of Fire Commissioners today, and he is citing personal reasons. Now, town officials say District Chief Scott Worth will be serving as acting fire chief. And Fort Myers Beach Mayor Dan Allers is providing Fox 4 this statement on Chief Martin's resignation, calling him in part, quote, a true example of a public servant. He goes on to say he will be sorely missed.
Well, Governor Ron DeSantis was in Fort Myers today, this to announce more help on the way for local governments and even businesses right here in Southwest Florida after Ian. He announced more funding will come to reimburse our local communities for the cost of debris cleanup and emergency response. Listen to this. That includes nearly $32 million for Lee County and more than $23 million for Collier County. The governor today also announcing $3 million from the Disaster Relief Fund to go to the hospitality industry and businesses who are within that industry, and also another $4 million for other small businesses across our state.
We always said really from the beginning that when you have a storm of this magnitude, this is a long-term process. There's going to be things that they're going to need to be done for a long period of time.
And we know that permitting has been a problem too. Well, the Florida Division of Emergency Management is now asking FEMA for an extension on a program that would allow areas to use private sector inspectors to help speed up that permitting process. That program is set to end on March 28th, but now the state is looking to the federal government for an extra 60 days to help with that demand. These are just a few of several new updates we actually learned from the state today. We will have much more from the governor's visit on Fox 4 News at 10 tonight.
And Nadine, speaking of rebuilding permits, contractors and homeowners in Cape Coral will have to start submitting permitting applications online. That starts next week. That change goes into effect on Monday. The city says permit requests must get submitted through the city's EnerGov self-service portal. So for now, if contractors are applying for permit applications on a project that's been using that paper documentation already, they say go ahead and keep submitting your paper documents. They must go to the city's permitting counter there.
Well, now turning to a block party happening right now in downtown Fort Myers, all to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, hence the green.
That's right, the green. It's there.
And it's also just such a great event to help bring more visitors to this city, especially as we're in peak season, all welcomed after Hurricane Ian.
That's right. The event runs until 8 tonight, so there's still time to get outside and enjoy some local food and performances for free.
Yeah, and that's where we find Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls. Okay, the party has already started behind you, Katie. And really, today is the day that you're going to want to soak up the weather, right?
But here's the
think you said that it's ending at 8. This is not ending at 8 by any means. Even the police tell us they're going to keep this street shut down through midnight, my friends. So you can see so many people here. Daniel's going to pan around. He's going to show you all of these wonderful folks, thousands of our friends coming here to Fort Myers. And a lot of, so many of us have gone through so much here in the last year. So to get to have this celebration, we are all together this evening celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Everyone is Irish this evening. We are having a great time here in downtown Fort Myers in the River District. This is right along 1st Street where it is really happening. Now, if you want more of like a low-key scene, you can just head over to Broadway, but there are parties, there are bands throughout the city this evening. And also just keep in mind, you want to make sure you are safe, no drinking and driving here. Of course, we have a lot of police right now out, but if you are coming out to downtown Fort Myers, you're coming out regardless of what you're up to. Let's take a look at that evening forecast. So for tonight, we'll be seeing mostly clear skies and those temperatures dropping from the 70s into the 60s. I just go with it. That's what happens here for St. Patrick's Day, my friends. So we are having so much fun. Meanwhile, tomorrow, it's going to be okay, but tomorrow night into Sunday, some bigger weather coming in. See, come on, look at this. Look at this. This is happening. So much fun here. So as we look ahead to the weekend, unfortunately, we'll see those rain chances going up. So coming up, Fox 4 certified meteorologist Andrew Shipley is going to be talking a little bit more about that here in the next 15 minutes. But for now, I'm live here in the River District. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls.
Wow, Katie, you are holding your own. And it also is just so great to see our community having a good time after such a hard year. We will see you again later on here on Fox 4 News at 6. Well, shifting now, because Fort Myers is not the only one celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. In fact, festivities are also happening in Punta Gorda as well. Take a look. Patrons actually made their way down to the Celtic Ray pub around 9 o'clock this morning, guys. Wow, when their doors officially opened up. This is actually the pub's 27th year celebrating the holiday. The bar owner and founder, Kevin Doyle, says everything is usually closed in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, but he realized that it was a big celebration in the U.S., and that's when he decided to open up the bar in 1997.
Before I came here, everywhere in Ireland was closed St. Patrick's Day, even the pubs. And then they found out the Americans are making a fortune out of St. Patrick's Day, so they changed the laws.
I love that, making a fortune. Well, last year there were over 8,000 patrons at the celebration. The pub will stay open until 1 o'clock in the morning. As always, please be careful out there. Don't drink and drive. AAA has a tow-to-go program. Do an Uber, but make sure you guys have such a great time tonight. Well, also coming up, we have some concerns from residents in Cape Coral over how the canal cleanup has been after Ian and how it's been impacting wildlife, they say. Well, now one city council member has asked for a pause on the process. Will the project move forward? We have that answer coming up next.
And a man is in jail tonight after police say he's tied to an escape from Cape Police on his boat. The damage they say he caused. Next.
4 months after Cape Coral crews started removing hurricane debris from their canals, tonight one city council member says that he is pushing to pause a project that he doesn't want to move forward after so many residents' concerns.
Yeah, the focus here is how the city plans to restore the vegetation the contractors cleared while they were cleaning up. Fox 4's Colton Chavez is live from one of those Cape canals as some erosion concerns continue in the Cape. Colton.
Yeah, Shari, you were talking about that path, and I want to let everyone know this isn't a scene that naturally occurs in nature. This is that path that Shari was talking about. This is where contractors actually had to clear all of this vegetation to be able to gain access to that canal that you can see out there in front of you. And when this process started and I started reporting on the canal cleanup process, when it first began, canal residents said they were worried that removing all of this vegetation would actually destroy some of the environment of our native species. But tonight, as you heard Shari say, the topic's on erosion. It's a concern not only for people here on the canal, but also city council chambers.
I would have rather put a pause on it for, and I said last night, a month, and looked at our restoration efforts before we continued with that.
A pause. Cape Coral Council member Tom Hayden recommended city staff look at addressing possible erosion concerns along the canals that Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife member Lori Bulcock showed me.
And I'm sure they entered it because there was some debris.
Now you can see it's mostly bare. The reason Bulcock feels will cause future erosion.
When the rains come, and you know how the rains here are in the summer, look, what's going to happen? Look at all this dirt. It's going to go.
But after Bulcock's members brought those concerns to council members Tuesday, Hayden tells other members disagreed that there needed to be a 1-month pause, saying canal debris removal already slated to end in the next 2 weeks.
The thing that concerned me as staff spoke, that we didn't really have a plan in place on how we might restore the banks and places where we remove trees and other shrubberies.
Debris removal on banks across the Cape. Hey, Lori, so where are we headed next? Like these Bulcock showed me.
A concern about massive erosion.
Interim Cape Coral City Manager Michael Chisholm says, for context, the city has never had to do a job as big as what Ian left behind.
We've had this before, and we have not had to go out on large scales and perform dredging from erosion that occurs from a bank.
Do you feel that there should have been a plan like this already possibly created before you do start doing the debris cleanup?
I don't know that I feel that way right now.
Hayden agrees the city has never faced storm cleanup like this. A response Lori Bulcock continues to say has now caused city contractors to remove too much from the banks.
They're small. They could have just come right around here, come in here, pull it out, and left. And over again, they keep going.
Well, and Councilmember Hayden tells me, though, that he feels confident after having that conversation with council members earlier this week that they will come back with a restoration plan. And moving forward, we also heard city staff say that if they do start to see any sort of erosion impact here on these canals, there are different ways that they can get funding to be able to correct that. So this is a story, obviously, that we're going to continue to follow very closely, and you can trust Fox 4 to give you the latest details. Live in Cape Coral tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
All right, Colin, thanks for that update. Well, taking you to Cape Coral now, a man is behind bars after trying to get away from police on his boat, they say. Cape Coral police actually got the call yesterday about a drunk man disturbing the peace while driving his boat through the canals, hitting several docks. Now, when police arrived, they tried to ask Kurt Snowden to cooperate, they say, but then they say he took off on his boat again. Authorities say they eventually found him trying to dock his boat near his home, but he is now facing multiple charges, including boating under the influence. This does come as officials have been warning boaters all week here in Southwest Florida to stay safe on the waterways after 7 people had to be rescued from a boat crash over the weekend.
This is probably a good time to remind people to just be careful as you're celebrating tonight as well. But you definitely want to get out if you have the opportunity to and enjoy the weather because it is beautiful.
And tonight really is the day that you're going to want to soak it up as we bring in meteorologist Andrew Shipley, because boy, is the weather going to start changing starting tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. And beautiful beautiful night for us. Clear skies, 70s, low humidity. Really a picturesque night for any St. Patty's Day celebrations. In terms of tonight, though, getting out of 65 degrees, mostly clear skies. Winds out south, gusting about 13 miles an hour. So, in terms of tomorrow, though, itself, I do expect sunshine in the morning, building clouds into the afternoon. Still going to be a very warm day, especially inland. 90-degree temperatures, LaBelle, 91 Moorhaven, Lewiston. You get closer towards the coast, Punta Gorda, 85 degrees, 86 there in Fort Myers, as well as 85 down in Naples. Let me break down the day, though. We are expecting, again, building clouds into the afternoon hours. We do expect becoming more partly cloudy by midday, and then mostly cloudy into the evening hours. And then you notice that rain there off to the north, and that's going to be moving in later on into the night. We're also expecting a rather breezy day for us. Not too bad in the morning, but watch as you get into the afternoon. Those winds coming out of the southwest, helping warm those temperatures up, gusting about 20-25 miles an hour later on in the day. But we do expect Saturday night into Sunday, the rain chance is starting to pick back up, and we're looking at more shower activity. So this is not going to be just a big, quick cold front moves through, rains for 20 minutes or so. This is going to be kind of just a dreary day. Cloudy conditions, on and off shower activity through the day on Sunday into Sunday night, even lasting into Monday morning with us. Now you get into Monday afternoon, I do expect improving conditions there, but still remaining on the cooler side. How much rain we talking? Well, just through Sunday afternoon, we do expect anywhere from a quarter to half inch. So not the great soaking, not going to get us out of the drought, but it's helpful. It's helpful rain. And then you add in the stuff overnight Sunday into Monday. We're talking some spots anywhere from maybe a quarter to as much of an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter there. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. We could use the rain, especially, again, this dry season. But again, most rain's going to be Saturday night into Sunday, and then Sunday into Monday. And then as you get towards Monday afternoon, those rain chances back off. You notice nothing expected there Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, the other thing we'll notice is more of the sunshine as the week progresses and warming up of those temperatures, because Sunday, yeah, a little bit on the cooler side. 70 degrees going to be that high. Not much better there Monday for the first day of spring, 72 degrees. But look at the end of the week. You get to Thursday, Friday, we're talking temperatures back into the upper 80s, flirting with 90-degree temperatures. And yes, plenty of sunshine, guys.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, a 5-time world champion and UFC Hall of Famer is now fighting out of the ring and fighting for those rebuilding right here in Southwest Florida.
So coming up on Fox 4 News at 6, Fox 4 morning anchor Chris Shaw is showing you why Tito Ortiz decided to move here to help and where you can find him. That's coming up next. Lots of people moving to our area, including a world-class athlete who decided to move here right after Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, Fox 4 morning anchor Chris Shaw got special access with UFC Hall of Famer Tito Ortiz. Here is his story.
He could be stepping off a boat in Matlacha, at a charity gala in Cape Coral, or inspiring kids in Fort Myers. Wherever he goes, people know Tito Ortiz.
A lot of people give me a kind of second look like, is that Tito?
What are you doing here?
No, they're like, what are you doing here?
That's what this story is about. Ortiz is a 5-time world champion UFC Hall of Famer.
I fought my first time UFC 13, May 30th, 1997. A year and a half later, I became the world champion. And the rest is history.
Last year, the man known to millions as the Huntington Beach Bad Boy retired to his hometown in California to run his businesses, start a political career, and enjoy his family. But a couple of days after Hurricane Ian, he got a phone call from his fishing buddy, Captain James Marco, who lives in Southwest Florida.
I heard the urgency in his voice. He's like, Tito, do you think you could come down here and help me, man? He goes, I need help.
What did he want you to do?
He wanted to come down and hopefully I was able to raise some money, help boost the morale.
Within days, Ortiz says he raised almost $50,000. This is video Captain Marco gave us of the men bringing generators, gas, and other supplies to people on Matlacha.
You can just see everybody was deflated. Everybody felt defeated.
So he came back a couple of weeks later with more donations. And that's when he says it hit him. He had never seen people come together and help each other out like people were doing here.
It gave me hope. It gave me hope that, you know what, America is still alive. America is still together. And it's here in Florida, here in Cape Coral, that opened my eyes to that situation.
He tells me he also found a community and a state that more closely matches his values.
We love a nuclear family. We love God. We love faith. We love our freedom. And I love my family.
And so he moved them across the country.
And it was scary for me because I wasn't sure what I got myself into. But once I got here, it gives joy to me.
He says his family is settled now, so he's thinking about the future. He's working on opening a Mexican restaurant in downtown Cape Coral.
Being a businessman and trying to help this city grow, because I know it's going to grow fast and grow the right way, I know I can make it happen.
That was Fox 4 morning anchor Chris Shaw reporting. And coming up on Fox 4 News at 6, we are watching out for you on what's happening in Tallahassee, really breaking down how this legislative session could really impact you and your family.
Specifically, the progress on one bill that could impact you and how you choose your child's school. That coming up.
You're calling this a free state, and I do not feel free in this state anymore.
Controversy erupting in Florida's legislative chambers as a slew of bills move a step closer to the governor's desk.
From abortion and gun laws to school choice, we're going to go over the moves lawmakers have made this week as Fox 4 News at 6 continues.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
And we begin tonight in Tallahassee, where the Florida House has now approved a bill that will now go over to the Senate floor, all for a plan to offer taxpayer-funded school vouchers to any student who wants one, including private schools as well. Thanks for joining us for Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Nadine Yanis.
And I'm Shari Armstrong. So this school choice plan is moving forward, along with Florida's possible 6-week abortion ban. That, while our Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders tells us the Senate president could have halted a high-profile gun bill. Take a look.
An initial victory for anti-abortionists this week.
This bill will be passed to the next committee.
A 6-week ban cleared its first of 2 House committees despite strong pushback from doctors, mothers, young women.
You're calling this a free state, and I do not feel free in this state anymore.
Even the vice president condemning the plan on a press call.
A 6-week ban would function as a regional ban, wiping out access to care in the South.
The bill does have exceptions for rape and incest, but 6 weeks is before many know they're pregnant. The sponsor notes it's around the time cardiac activity is detected, which she calls a heartbeat.
When you hear that heartbeat, it changes everything. And that's a human being and a human life.
Another controversial bill also cleared its first committee, frustrating LGBTQ plus groups.
No justice! No peace!
An expansion of what critics call the Don't Say Gay law. The new bill limits the use of preferred pronouns in school and increases the ban on classroom instruction of sexual orientation and gender identity from K-3 through 8th grade.
And it gets education system back to the reason that we send our children to school in the first place, and that's to learn.
Critics dismayed after Tuesday's vote, saying they're not being heard.
If the numbers can't sway you, if the personal testimonies can't sway you, and the data, I don't know what else would. So I've lost hope.
Gun reform advocates, however, feeling a bit better after a surprise high-profile rebuff of a bill lowering Florida's firearm purchase age from 21 to 18.
No. You do not? No.
The Senate president was not on board and suggested the upper chamber doesn't have an appetite.
You know, I listen to my members. I don't, nobody's brought it up to me. Nobody's mentioned it to me in the Senate.
What if they amend it into permanently carried over to the House?
I don't think that'll happen.
Finally, over in the House, Republicans strong-armed a slate of bills off the floor, including tort reform, cutting school district term limits to 8 years, and HB 1.
83 yeas, 27 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes.
Opening up vouchers for private schooling to all Florida students, not just low income.
The lives of children in Florida will be better.
Democrats continue to worry the cost will be in the billions and that the change will funnel money from public schools.
That was Forrest Saunders reporting from Tallahassee, but we did want to go in depth on that state's universal school choice plan that passed the House today. So the Republican-backed proposal now awaits the Senate's support before then reaching the governor's desk. So HB 1 does open up vouchers for private schools to all of Florida's students. And as we just mentioned, it's not just for low-income students here. They will still have priority, but under the bill, anyone can apply for this voucher from the state, even homeschoolers who can get money for supplies or tutors. Republicans say it will allow families to come up with the best plan for their kids, but Democrats say it is damaging to public education and the public schools budget, with one state analysis estimating that this plan could cost up to $220 million alone. The governor has had some reservations about giving these vouchers to those who can already afford private schools, but he said it wasn't a deal breaker, so we will see how this bill shapes up.
And right now we are taking a look at headlines across the globe. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Russian President Vladimir Putin and a member of his government for war crimes. According to the U.S. and several European governments, Putin's administration has carried out a plot to forcibly deport thousands of Ukrainian children to Russia. Officials say the children would likely go to a network of dozens of camps to undergo political re-education. Now, Russia has characterized reports of forcible relocation as, quote, absurd, and says it does its best to keep minors with their families.
Well, this is a trend that local prosecutors and advocates want to find an answer to. It involves teens, school threats, and gun violence. We have seen it even here in Southwest Florida. Young teens being charged with making threats to area schools and being charged as adults.
And as we're seeing it here, the same is being seen throughout our country and in Hillsborough County specifically, where the state attorney says teens are being charged as adults more often for serious firearm violations. Reporter Mary O'Connell with our Scripps station WFTX in Tampa is taking a look at this issue and programs that are in place to help deter students from crime.
Local leaders are trying to get a grasp on gun violence involving teens.
We have prosecuted more juveniles as adults because more juveniles are committing serious, violent, gun-related crimes.
The Hillsborough State Attorney's Office says on average, the percent of gun-related juvenile cases prosecuted as adults has increased by more than 20% on State Attorney Susie Lopez's watch. On Friday, Lopez shared this video from New Year's Day at Curtis Hickson Park. You can see a group fighting. The part we're not showing, a gun going off. A teen was later rushed to the hospital.
The victim in this case survived. He was shot right above the heart and is still recovering.
Lopez explained they have a team who evaluates each case, looking at the defendant's age, charge, prior history, and other factors.
We must stand together and say enough is enough.
We tell them that if you take a life, it's not just that life that's gone, it's yours, your family's.
Freddie Barton is the executive director of Safe and Sound Hillsborough, the violence prevention collaborative of Hillsborough County. The organization has a pilot initiative, which includes a youth gun offender program.
Any youth that gets arrested on a gun or weapon related offense are typically court ordered to the program. Here we have them for 6 months and we monitor them for an additional 6 months.
The program has 3 phases.
When we take them and sit them in front of family members who've lost their children due to gun violence and have a conversation with them, it really moves them. And they tell us, you know what, I never thought about it like this.
The long-term goal, to keep young people out of the juvenile system, trauma centers, rehabilitation centers, or worse.
It's important that we get to these kids, we change their minds, we change their hearts so that they don't make this decision down the road.
That was Mary O'Connell reporting from the Tampa Bay area. Now we want to come right back here at home where there is a block party happening in downtown Fort Myers, all to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And it is bringing more visitors to the city, and that is a welcomed sight after Hurricane Ian.
This is a Southwest Florida tradition, so we want to take you to the River District, which is downtown Fort Myers, where Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls is hanging out. And Katie, you are having 25 times more fun than I am next to this girl.
Hey, you know, some people feel like we don't like each other. We do. We all like each other. And Katie, you're having a great time out there, though.
So much fun. I'm meeting so many of our neighbors here from Southwest Florida. I just met somebody visiting from Iowa, some folks visiting from Michigan. It's been fantastic getting to meet so many neighbors and so many visitors here in Southwest Florida. And we're having so much fun. Take a look at this. So this is obviously just one of many locations where we are celebrating this huge event. Everybody Irish today here in the River District in downtown Fort Myers. And even though technically it says the party ends at 8 o'clock, you know that party's gonna keep going on and on all night long. Thank you so much. So we are having so much fun right now. As you can see, everybody's having a great time. The weather obviously couldn't be any nicer out there. So really quickly, let's take a look at your evening forecast. For those of you heading out this evening, whether you're coming out to maybe hang out with us here in downtown Fort Myers or regardless, but we are looking for some nice conditions, mostly sunny to partly cloudy as we start to wrap up the end of the evening. And then of course, once the sun sets, mostly clear skies are expected. Temperatures gradually dropping through the 70s. And by the way, with this drier air in place, it is feeling really nice to get outside and take advantage of it. Unfortunately, though, that's not going to be the case as we head through the rest of this weekend. So coming up in the next 15 minutes, meteorologist Andrew Shipley will be updating the timeline for when some wet weather could be messing with your weekend plans. But for now, I'm live here in downtown Fort Myers. Fox 4 certified meteorologist Katie Walls.
Irish, I was there too. All right, anyway, meanwhile, St. Baldrick's Foundation is holding its annual Brave the Shave fundraiser. This happening at Bell Tower Shops in Fort Myers. Another great event happening here.
Yeah, I absolutely love my coworkers, including Nadine and our very own producer, Dan Corlett, who actually took part in this event. Take a look. The event raises funds for childhood cancer research. So far, more than $15,000 total has been raised for that initiative.
So South Trail Fire and Fort Myers Fire volunteers were also out there to help. So if you want to donate to this cause and help Dan, look at him, reach
but he doesn't look
goal.
like that anymore.
Yeah, he is literally bald. That's why it's called St. Baldrick. So visit stbaldricks.org. This all again to help save kids with cancer. Well, watery eyes, runny nose, harsh headaches. My ears are actually popping right now as we speak. Allergy season upon us, Shari.
Right, this has been the story of my life this whole week. The pollen causing miseries for so many of us. Fox 4 is watching out for you, and we actually have tips to help all of us who are suffering from allergies at this time. We'll be right back with those details for you. So during Fox 4 News last night, we reported that Cape Coral, Sarasota, and Orlando are some of the top 10 most challenging cities for people with seasonal allergies. That is according to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America.
And so tonight we're learning that this year's allergy season might last even longer. I don't know about you, my car covered in pollen. You see the yellow on it. Lisa Greenberg explains what is behind the trend that we're seeing in your healthy family.
About a quarter of adults in our country deal with seasonal allergies. I'm one of them. I know how rough they can be. And for kids, it's 1 in 5. Data shows warmer weather and climate change may be leading to a longer pollen season, making allergies even worse. And you may be already feeling it. In today's Your Healthy Family, I'm breaking down the new data and what you can do to protect yourself.
If you're already overwhelmed by allergies this season, you are not alone. Data collected by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration finds temperatures across the country were unusually warm last month. And Dr. Jay Jin, an allergist and immunologist, says that can impact allergies.
The way a warmer winter can impact seasonal allergies really comes down to, will that give a chance for these trees to start blooming a little bit earlier? And that may start to bring out the pollination process a little sooner.
A new report from Climate Central shows weather and climate trends are making allergy season even worse.
The pollen is going to be in the air even longer, and it's happening earlier as well.
Meteorologist Jennifer Gray studied the report and says the data shows earlier spring and longer periods of freeze-free days for parts of the country means plants have more time to flower and release allergy-inducing pollen.
What happens in a warmer world, you have a longer growing season. And so these areas with the green dots, this shows 60 or more days change with the longer growing season.
The CDC says people with respiratory illnesses like asthma may be more sensitive to pollen. Exposure has been linked to asthma attacks and more people being admitted to the hospital for respiratory problems. To reduce your exposure, when pollen counts are high, start taking allergy medicine early. Close your doors and windows and avoid outdoor activities in the early morning when pollen counts are the highest. Also, remove clothes you've worn outside and shower to get the pollen off your skin and hair.
Another tip, clean your floors more often with a vacuum that has a HEPA filter. For Your Healthy Family, I'm Lisa Greenberg, and for more health stories, head to fox4now.com/yourhealthyfamily.
Such good tips right there, especially for so many of us who are really feeling it this allergy season.
Yeah, it makes me almost want to sneeze thinking about it. Let's go ahead and bring in certified meteorologist Andrew Shipley, who is tracking the weather. And a lot of our trees are just pollinating right now, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tree and mold, both in that high range right now. Now, so grass and ragweed in the low side, but I do actually expect grass to start to pick up over the next week or so. In terms of tonight, though, great night to be outside and celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Clear skies, getting down to about 65 degrees ultimately tonight, but still pretty nice night to be celebrating. South winds at 13 miles an hour. In terms of your Saturday, well, Saturday's going to be a day of change as we start to see increasing clouds through the day, but still a very mild day. Warm temperatures inland getting up into the low 90s. LaBelle, Moorhaven, Clewiston, all 91 degrees. Get close to the coastline. We're looking at still mid-80s. Punta Gorda, Bonita Springs, how about Marco Island, all at 85 degrees. Southwest winds about 10 to 15 miles an hour. But again, I do expect to have building clouds into the afternoon hours. A little bit more mostly cloudy as we get in towards the evening hours. You can see that shower activity off to the north there. That will be moving in later on in the night, Saturday into Sunday. And then fast forward to Sunday, well, much cooler temperatures. Check out these highs temperatures for you Sunday. Only a high of 70. Compare that to that 85, 86 that we're expecting on a Saturday. So cooler temperatures, rainier conditions as well. And let's walk you through it as we get in towards, again, Sunday morning. We'll start to see that shower activity building in. And this is not going to be one of those quick little fronts that very narrow. This is going to be kind of just that on and off shower activity through the day on Sunday into Sunday night into Monday morning for you. And then as you roll into the rest of the day, Monday, we start to clear things back out, but still remaining on the cooler side. How about how much rain we're looking at? Well, let's fast forward things towards Sunday evening. Again, most of the models anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to maybe a 1/2 inch, depending on where those showers really set up. But then you add in Sunday night, get a little bit more of that widespread 1/4 to maybe an inch worth of rain. So again, that much needed rain. And we're again expecting those rain chances to pick up Saturday night into Sunday and then continuing it towards Monday morning. You notice it dries back off though on Tuesday, Wednesday. But check out this. How how much the deficit. We need anywhere from 3 to almost 5 inches of rain. That's how much we're down since the start of the year. Obviously, we've got a little bit of rain earlier this week in Punta Gorda of an inch, but gonna need a lot more on the way. So 7-day forecast. So again, cooler temperatures Sunday, Monday, though. You roll into next week, starting to warm things back up near the upper 80s, 90 degrees by Thursday, Friday.
Despite it being St. Patrick's Day, we had a lot of news on this Friday. So here are the top stories we're following tonight. Tomorrow marks 1 week since Cape Coral police say a man threw bricks at the Chabad Jewish Center in Cape Coral. This as people were leaving Saturday's services. Despite the fact that there's a $5,000 reward, police still do not have a suspect in custody. They are calling this a hate crime, and Fox 4 Investigates found that this attack is part of a growing trend of violence against the Jewish Americans. You can see this story on fox4now.com.
Cape Coral City Council member Tom Hayden wanted to pause debris cleanup efforts in the city's canals at least for a month after several residents said they're concerned that the project was impacting the environment and wildlife. Another concern that came up was how all that vegetation removal during the process is actually impacting erosion. The City Council, though, ultimately decided not to pause the project, so it's going to end in about 2 weeks.
Also, the governor was in town today. He announced more funding to reimburse our local communities for the cost of debris cleanup and emergency response, and it involves, look at this, nearly $32 million for Lee County, 23 for Collier, also announcing $7 million for hospitality industry and small businesses. The governor sharing that repairs to the Pine Island Bridge and Sanibel Causeway will also be complete later this year. Caitlin Knapp will share those details on Fox 4 News at 10.
Of course, our coverage continues online on fox4now.com. We'll see you back here for Fox 4 News at 10. Bye-bye.
Tonight, disturbing security footage of the moments someone was shot and killed outside the Restaurant Depot in San Carlos Park. How Lee County deputies say the accused gunman knew this victim.
Plus, tomorrow marks 1 week since the attack on Cape Coral's Jewish Center, and still, the suspect has not been caught.
Because it's not just a Jewish problem. It's an American problem.
Fox 4 investigates the state of hate in Florida compared to the rest of our nation.
And more hurricane relief is coming to Southwest Florida. The governor in town today. How much more funding he announced that could help you recover.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
We begin this hour with breaking news out of Collier County. The sheriff's office telling Fox 4 they are now investigating a homicide in a home on 8th Avenue Southeast. This is in Golden Gate Estates. Detectives say that they arrived at this home just before 11 o'clock last night after a family member reported that a woman was inside, but she was not conscious or breathing. They do say this is an isolated incident, and as of right now, there's no danger to the community, but we know no arrests have been made at this point. So we do have a crew headed to the scene, and we will bring you the absolute latest first right here on Fox 4 News and on our mobile app, and again tonight at 10.
But tonight, the Lee County Sheriff's Office say they have a man in custody who they say is responsible for shooting and killing his family member right outside of the Restaurant Depot in San Carlos Park. Thanks for trusting us here on Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Shari Armstrong.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. A busy Friday here. So back to that murder. The Sheriff's Office also releasing chilling security video of that shooting yesterday. We do want to warn you, it could be disturbing to watch as we take you through this. So here in this video, you can see that victim coming out of the Restaurant Depot with a shopping cart. You see he approaches the back of his car to put items in his trunk. Now, Fox 4 is not showing the rest of the video after this due to its graphic nature, which shows what LCSO says is the gunman, now identified as 22-year-old Juan Carlos Rosado, shooting a family member, that man he was related to, and that man could then be seen falling to the ground. Again, that video we're not showing to you, but Lee County Sheriff's deputies say they quickly responded to that area.
Yeah, and deputies say when they got there, Rosado was still standing nearby. They took him into custody on second-degree murder charges, and he remains in the Lee County Jail tonight. Deputies say this was an isolated incident and not related to the Restaurant Depot. They want to be very clear about that. Well, some great news for those of you heading to the Miami area or South Florida